You're listening to The Voice of Russia in London. I'm Alice Lagnado, and today I'm talking to Natalia Vodianova, the Russian supermodel and philanthropist. Natalia Vodianova grew up in a one-room flat in the Russian town of Nizhny Novgorod, getting up every morning at 6 o'clock to sell fruit on a street stall in temperatures of up to minus 25 degrees Celsius. At home, she had to feed, change and nurse her disabled sister, Oksana. Natalia's mother, against doctors' advice, insisted that Oksana, who was born with cerebral palsy, should stay in the family and not go to a state institution. Natalia's father left and her grandparents moved out, unable to cope with the prospect of bringing up a disabled child. So from an early age, Natalia knew exactly what it was like to look after a disabled child without any support. It looked as if Natalia was destined for a life of unrelenting hardship until, at the age of 15, she was picked out by a scout from a model agency. She went on to become one of the world's most successful models. Then, in 2004, a group of armed men took 1,000 people, including many children, hostage for 3 days in a school in the southern Russian town of Beslan. 330 people died in the siege, including nearly 200 children. Natalia was in Moscow at the time and could not tear herself away from the heartbreaking wall-to-wall television coverage. She realized she wanted to bring some lightness and fun to the traumatized children of Beslan, so she hit upon the idea of building them a beautiful, large and well-equipped playground. She and her charity, the Naked Heart Foundation, went on to build playgrounds all over Russia, including in Natalia's hometown of Nizhny Novgorod. Playgrounds in Russia are often old and dangerous, and Natalia's state-of-the-art constructions were a huge success. I began by asking Natalia about her early life in Nizhny Novgorod and why her grandparents found it difficult to cope with having a disabled granddaughter.
I'm very close to my grandparents. I adore my grandparents, and in fact they were not there to support my mother very much, but we still kept very close relationship, and in fact my grandparents practically raised me, because many times when at really hard times when my mother couldn't afford to have me and my sister, they would take me for a few months at a time, and I would live with them. I would have this kind of peaceful breaks where I lived with my grandparents.
But they found it hard to see your sister?
Yes, they would hardly ever see my sister. It's better now. Now they're okay with it. I guess it just was different times.
Fear, maybe.
I think it's not fear. It's sort of, imagine these people went through war. They succeeded. They had worked very hard all their life for little apartment that they had, that that was so beautifully done by my grandmother's her own hands. She embroidered sort of amazing pictures, and all the carpets were done. She made the carpets, and she really loved beautiful things, and they've traveled a little, and they really kind of lived a cute normal life. And then my two of their older children, one went to live in St. Petersburg, very successful, another one great work, both finished universities, and my mother she got married very young, so there was no university, and then they're separated with her first husband, and it kind of didn't work out for her in the same way. And I think that it's just my grandmother is a very strong woman, and she's somehow, I think she just wanted everything perfect, in the end of her life, and she always had friends around, and I think she was she was ashamed of it. I think it's that she was ashamed of it, and she just didn't want to face the reality.
And what about your father and Oksana?
This is my stepfather. He was just not ready to face the challenge. It was hard. He had a job, and he he realized what it would mean to have a disabled child, and he just didn't want to deal with it. And especially with everyone around, my mother saying, the child will be perfectly taken care of in an institution. You're ruining your life. It's a vegetable. Why would you keep her? And my mom saying, no, it's my child. I cannot give it away. I think my stepfather was just he wanted to take the easy option and what everyone was saying. So yes, he walked away.
But I guess it's hard if you haven't got any examples around you as well of other families who are successfully bringing up disabled kids.
We had actually a neighbor with also a little girl with cerebral palsy, and the mother just drank herself, to poverty and destruction. She got herself back together later in life, but at the time, yes, it was definitely not a good omen.
And your sister Oksana is now 16 and
she's
at
22.
School? 22. Oh, I'm behind. And yes. How's she doing? What's she doing?
She lives with my mother. She's in fact not 22, she's 24. Sorry. They live in Nizhny Novgorod, still in my hometown. Nice apartment and.
And your sister Oksana, can she do anything for herself? Did she go to school?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't go to school. She can ask for things she would like to drink or to eat, and she uses a bathroom on her own. That took about 15 years, but. We got there eventually. She's very happy, but she lives in a world of her own, and she understands a lot. I think she's more and more grown to understand simple things, and when someone speaks about her, and I think she's also with the life, general, of course, quality of life improving. In our family in the last 10 years. So yes, I think she feels the change as well, and she's coming out of herself much more, because as well for children like that, safety is very paramount.
You're listening to The Voice of Russia in London. I'm Alice Lagnado, and today I'm talking to supermodel and philanthropist Natalia Vodianova. Did you ever imagine when you were growing up and working on that market stall and freezing on that bus with those bananas going black, that you could end up living in a beautiful house near Petworth in England? Do you ever pinch yourself?
Oh yes, I pinch myself about a lot of things. I pinch myself, but at the same time I work extremely hard. I always did. I still do. I feel... I almost sometimes feel like it's a contract in a way for
a deal,
some kind of deal, yes, because I so feel other people's pain, and just generally I feel so responsible in a way, and always have been for other people, or for now today for things that I can do and that I in my ability. It's yes, it feels like a contract, and I know that whatever that is I'm living, that is my reality. I've made it, of course, with hard work and but also I enjoy it with complete pure joy, and knowing that my conscience is clear, because I give away much more than I receive. It's just recycling. I'm just sort of channeling it through.
How do you manage your own energy levels?
Well, I'm constantly tired. I'm constantly tired, and I don't have time for myself. I don't have time to take care of myself. Just the minimum, very, very basic.
Do you get ill? I mean, do you end up having to crash out?
I'm never ill. It's a funny thing. I've actually, first time since I'm a teenager, I got a cold this winter, and it feels so alien to me. I'm very, very strong. There is no doubt about it.
Do you exercise? Do you do weights and things like that?
No. No. But I do a little bit of yoga, and in fact. it's really important for me to keep myself physically fit, and I feel for my energy level precisely it's really important. So for example, once a year now I run half marathon, and so that's kind of in spring. It's fantastic. It kind of boosts my energy, but I don't train, so it's kind of a little bit weird. And I eat healthy, and I sort of and in general, if I feel tired, I just it's okay. I just sleep, and I think I try to keep my life very balanced. It's running an incredibly tight schedule, and
Do you enjoy being in the fashion world?
yes, I enjoy my work a lot. It counterbalances my everyday life, because my everyday life it's not glamorous at all. I'm a very down-to-earth person. I don't really like putting makeup on. I'm not that kind of woman that is kind of, oh my goodness, my nails. I guess because I'm a model, and because I have this my job is to look great, and I do on the pictures, because of course with the incredible makeup, incredible hairdresser, beautiful dresses, and really every woman needs it, and I get that, and I'm so lucky, of course, that I get it, and plus it pays my bills. It's really important in life. It gives me the ability to think about other things, in fact, because if I had to think about it, I wouldn't be able to be the person who I am. I would have to work, and then I wouldn't be able to do all these great things that I do with Naked Heart Foundation. But because I have all this, I satisfy this feminine kind of for once a week, when I have to go to an event and I have to get ready. I enjoy it. I really, really thoroughly enjoy it, and my work. But then I come back, and then I can spend I will spend hours in front of computer like everyone else, doing emails and working and administration and talking to my colleagues and at Naked Heart Foundation and approaching people and strategy planning and all this. And this is, of course, in a way something that is much more important to me, but I couldn't do it without my day job.
5 degrees Celsius. At home, she had to feed, change and nurse her disabled sister, Oksana. Natalia's mother, against doctors' advice, insisted that Oksana, who was born with cerebral palsy, should stay in the family and not go to a state institution. Natalia's father left, and her grandparents moved out, unable to cope with the prospect of bringing some lightness and fun to the traumatized children of Beslan. So she hit upon the idea of building them a beautiful, large and well-equipped playground. She and her charity, the Naked Heart Foundation, went on to build playgrounds all over Russia, including in Natalia's hometown of Nizhny Novgorod. Playgrounds in Russia are often old and dangerous, and Natalia's stating up a disabled child. So from an early age, Natalia knew exactly what it was like to look after a disabled child without any support. It looked as if Natalia was destined for a life of unrelenting hardship until, at the age of 15, she was picked out by a scout from a model agency. She went on to become one of the world's most successful models. Then, in 2004, a group of armed men took 1,000 people, including many children, hostage for 3 days in a school in the southern Russian town of Beslan. 330 people died in the siege, including nearly 200 children. Natalia was in Moscow at the time and could not tear herself away from the heartbreaking wall-to-wall television coverage. She realized she wanted to bring... You're listening to The Voice of Russia in London. I'm Alice Lagnado, and today I'm talking to Natalia Vodianova, the Russian supermodel and philanthropist. Natalia Vodianova grew up in a one-room flat in the Russian town of Nizhny Novgorod, getting up every morning at 6 o'clock to sell fruit on a street stall in temperatures of up to -20